next point. How are all these people surviving underground? What are they eating and drinking for years and years? Now, you're going to say, oh no, see, they were eating the rabbits. The rabbits, they might have been used for these experiments and everything like that, but they was probably living off the rabbits for food and sustenance, 24/7 for years and years. You have basically a limitless supply of rabbits, and that's what they was eating for years and years. Okay, I'm going to go along with that for a second here, but here's my next question. How were they feeding the rabbits? Where does the rabbit food come from? Who's paying for the rabbit food? Rabbits need to live on something as well. And, are the rabbits eating each other for food? I mean, not only do I doubt that, it's not physiologically possible. I mean, the fact of the matter is that rabbits cannot eat meat. Their digestive systems aren't designed to eat meat. It's really designed only to eat, plant life and such. If a rabbit eats anything that's animal-based, they get a very upset stomach and have, a lot of medical issues. So no, the idea that rabbits would feed on themselves or something along those lines is not even physiologically, possible. Now, you're going to say, okay, so, now what happened was the tethers, they would go out and they would, round up and scavenge for food for the rabbits, brush and plant wildlife and all this type of stuff, and they would bring it back to the rabbits. That's what the rabbits would feed on. Okay, so let's look at this idea. Even if you had, let's say, 100 tethers out there scavenging where they were on that beach, mind you, where there's nothing literally but sand for miles and miles, you are not going to find enough plant life to feed all those hundreds and hundreds of rabbits day in and day out for years and years and years. So I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. Next point. These tethers were not, from what we could see, they're not confined or detained underground, and they seem free to move about. Nothing was apparently keeping them from moving freely about, and apparently, and I'm not going to go into the whole social conflict and questions that was going on in their minds, but apparently they had a deep disregard or disdain or hatred for being underground, jealousy maybe. Why didn't they just leave those facilities and go to the above ground world and just try to fend for themselves in the above ground world? Live a life on the above ground world, almost like a homeless person, I guess you could say. I mean, there was no one keeping them underground. There was no security infrastructure. They were basically free to move about, which at times they did. And you have millions and millions of people. People get restless. They wander around. They explore. You mean to tell me if they wandered out into that amusement park and saw all those people, laughing and smiling and holding hands, and these, muscle guys walking around on the beach without the shirts on, and young women in crop tops and cut-off shorts walking around, and they got the, eating a half-eaten slice of pizza that they picked out the garbage, that they wouldn't prefer that life over eating these raw rabbits 24/7, day in and day out for years and years and years? Okay, next point. How was Red able to, I'll say, assemble this doppelganger family in the first place? Meaning that she, very iconically was outside the house. She had a tethered duplicate of the husband and tethered duplicates of the boy and the girl. They're all standing there. They're seemingly genetic copies of the other person. Clones, I guess, would be the proper word. how was she able to get these three other people all there? Now, even if you accept the premise that each of these humans in the family had a government clone created for them somewhere, just logically, they were created in facilities spread out all over the country, randomly, in different bunkers and facilities and whatnot, and these clones, when they're created, are not grouped together by family or anything like that. They're just little clone babies. No one knows what their future is going to bring. No one knows where they're going to be 10, 20, 30 years from now. They're presumably just stockpiled locally to where they're created all over the country. They have no idea who they're going to marry decades into the future. None of that. So the other tether members of any given family could be all over the country. The dad could be in Idaho. One child could be in Texas. The other child could be in California. How would Red be able to locate the other tether members and coordinate, bring them all together and everything? Logistically, how could they all just be together in one spot? I mean, they can't take any type of public transportation, planes or trains or buses or anything like that. They can't walk along the highway. But, Adelaide and her family got there at that amusement area literally that day, maybe the night before. But Red was able to assemble all these other tether family members literally, seemingly within 24 hours. How could she pull that off? No technology at her disposal, no financial resources at her disposal. That would seem almost impossible. Okay, along those same lines, and this is the last question, where did the tether children of Red come from? Where did Red's tether children come from? And along those same lines, where did those twin white ladies, the children of the family friend down the road in the big expensive house, they were twins, they looked like teenagers, where did they come from? Okay, because it's all part of the same question. So logically, you're going to say, well, they were created by the experiment too, because they're tether children. Okay, well, that's just simply not possible. I mean, let's just talk about Red's tether children. How old would you say they are? The boy looked to be about 10 and 12 years old. The girl looked to be about 14 or so. So they were, created in like the 2000s or born in the 2000s or something like that, right? So that is years and years after the government is no longer around. So they could not have been created by the government program. That's not possible. Now you're going to say, oh, well, see, maybe the tethers took over the program. The tethers then learned how to do the technique and all that. Okay, let's be for real. The tethers didn't have no training. They didn't have no education. And yes, it did look like there was some type of schoolroom or type of facility in that one location, but we don't know whether they were using that classroom as a teaching facility or whether it was just that they was using this one abandoned underground school. It just happened to be a school, but the tethers weren't using it as a school. That just happened to conveniently be there for housing. The idea that the tethers perfected this super highly sophisticated cloning technique simply from watching the other scientists, while they were strapped to some table, that's just, ludicrous. Come on, let's be serious. Plus, even when the government program was in operation, the operations probably required millions of dollars to buy equipment and supplies and chemicals, pipettes, beakers, all the disposable hardware that would have to be required to engage in this type of science and experimentation and methodology. And there's naturally a cost of just maintaining this equipment, repairing this sophisticated equipment, replacing equipment. Mind you, it's not like they had an IT department or service contracts or anything like that. There's just a normal wear and tear on equipment that occurs. And mind you, we're talking about over 30 years. The idea that they could just use all this equipment for years and years and years and not require anyone from the outside to come in and fix something or repair something and need a little replacement part for something, for this highly technical, sophisticated equipment, is just really absurd. I mean, let's face it, most of us can't even maintain one dime cell phone for a year, let alone maintaining any piece of equipment for 30 years. So the idea that the tethers took over, in a sense, in effect, the program themselves, simply is not plausible. So the alternative to that would be that, Red gave birth to these children. I don't want to say in captivity, but you understand what I'm trying to say, in the tunnel, so to speak. Now, that could possibly make sense were it not for the fact that these children appear to be virtually genetically identical to their human counterpart, okay? Which would mean that Red conceived with the exact tether version of a husband. Now, if you're going to go down that route, what would be the chance that Red and the tether dad would randomly hook up amongst the millions and millions of tethers out there at precisely the same time as their human counterparts? I mean, they weren't living down there as a family for years and years. They would have had no reason to interact with each other or even know of each other down there, waiting for the right time to have sex. They would literally have no clue of what the humans are doing above ground, where they're meeting, what they're doing when they're meeting, any of that. Like I said, who knows where the tether dad was created? That could have been anywhere in America. Who knows where he was born? And then his clone was probably raised in the local government cloning facility, wherever the hell that was. And it's not like the two tether versions met at college or at a company picnic or something like that. They were just two random, for all they knew, two random tethers in two separated facilities. What could have brought them together randomly like that? And even if they got together, what's the odds they're going to successfully conceive and have children that exactly duplicate the human children? Those children individually could have turned out to have totally different characteristics, like all the offspring from two parents. That can't be controlled. And mind you, even this is after the government has left. So it's not like there was some secret scientific way that the government had to make sure that the tether offspring were going to be somehow exact duplicates of human offspring that are being created above ground, who knows where and who knows at what time. Alright guys, so this is the end of my questions. I just had some points I wanted to raise, give you some food for thought, and generate some discussion in your own mind or with your friends. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and check out the other videos in my catalog, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye. You have just watched part 2 and the conclusion of a 2-part series. If you missed part 1, please click on the thumbnail above or click on the link in the description box below. Thank you.